Have you ever noticed a little change in your body and thought, oh, it's probably just age catching up with me? Maybe you brushed off a new ache, a bit of fatigue, or a strange spot on your skin, telling yourself it's nothing to worry about. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. As we get older, it's easy to chalk up every new symptom to getting older. But sometimes those little changes are your body's way of whispering that something more serious might be going on. Today, I want to talk with you about something that's incredibly important for all of us, especially as we move into our 60s and beyond: how to spot cancer early, and the subtle signs most people miss. Now, I know this isn't the most cheerful topic, but stick with me. The truth is, catching cancer early can make all the difference. It can mean simpler treatments, better outcomes, and more years spent doing the things you love. The problem is, cancer doesn't always announce itself with a big, dramatic symptom. Sometimes it's just a quiet nudge, a little change here, a small shift there. That's why it's so important to know what to look for, even if it seems minor or unrelated. So, in this video, we're going to have an honest, friendly chat about the subtle signs of cancer that often get overlooked. I'll share real-life examples, practical advice, and simple steps you can take to stay on top of your health. My goal isn't to scare you, but to empower you. Because when you know what to watch for, you can take action early, and that's a powerful thing. Let's start with something that almost everyone experiences at some point: fatigue. We all get tired, right? Maybe you've had a busy week, or you didn't sleep well, or you've been helping out with the grandkids. But what if you're feeling tired all the time, even after a good night's sleep? What if that tiredness just won't go away, no matter how much you rest? Persistent, unexplained fatigue is one of those sneaky symptoms that can be easy to ignore. It's also one of the most common early signs of several types of cancer, including leukemia, colon cancer, and stomach cancer. Imagine this. You used to enjoy your morning walks, but lately you find yourself needing to sit down halfway through. Or maybe you're nodding off in the middle of your favorite TV show, even though you slept well the night before. If this kind of tiredness is new for you, and it's sticking around for weeks, it's worth mentioning to your doctor. Don't just assume it's part of getting older. Your body is trying to tell you something, and it's always better to check in and be sure. Another subtle sign that often gets missed is unexplained weight loss. Now, I know some of us might welcome a few pounds dropping off, especially after the holidays. But if you're losing weight without trying, say, more than 5 or 10 pounds over a few months, and you haven't changed your diet or exercise routine, it's time to pay attention. Unintentional weight loss can be an early warning sign for cancers like pancreatic, stomach, esophageal, or lung cancer. Think about your clothes. Are your pants suddenly feeling loose? Or is your belt on a tighter notch than usual? Maybe friends or family have commented that you look slimmer, but you haven't been doing anything different. It's easy to shrug this off as a nice surprise, but it's important to ask yourself why it's happening. Sometimes cancer can change the way your body uses energy, or it can affect your appetite and digestion. If you notice this kind of weight loss, don't wait. Bring it up at your next checkup. Let's talk about another sign that's easy to overlook: changes in your skin. Our skin changes as we age. Wrinkles, age spots, and dryness are all normal. But certain changes can be a red flag. Have you noticed a new mole, or has an old mole started to look different? Maybe it's changed color, gotten bigger, or started to itch or bleed. These changes can be early signs of skin cancer, including melanoma, which is the most serious type. It's not just moles, either. Sometimes, skin cancer can show up as a sore that doesn't heal, a patch of skin that's scaly or crusty, or a lump under the skin. The tricky part is that these changes can be painless and easy to ignore. That's why it's a good idea to check your skin regularly, maybe once a month after a shower. Use a mirror to look at hard-to-see places, or ask a loved one to help. If you spot anything new or unusual, don't wait to get it checked out. Early detection makes a huge difference with skin cancer. Now, I know it can feel overwhelming to think about all these possibilities, but remember, most of the time, these symptoms are caused by something other than cancer. Still, it's always better to be safe and get things checked out early. Your doctor is there to help you, not to judge or dismiss your concerns. And you know your body better than anyone else. So, we've talked about persistent fatigue, unexplained weight loss, and changes in your skin. These are just a few of the subtle signs that can sometimes point to cancer, but there are others that are just as important to watch for. The key is to listen to your body and trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't ignore it. You deserve to feel your best and to catch any problems early when they're easiest to treat. Now that we've covered these first signs, let's keep going and talk about some other subtle changes that can be easy to miss, but are just as important to pay attention to. Sometimes, the smallest changes in our daily routines can be the most telling. Maybe you've noticed you're making more trips to the bathroom than usual, or perhaps you've started having trouble swallowing foods that used to go down easily. These little shifts might seem harmless at first, but they can be your body's way of waving a tiny red flag. Let's talk about a few more subtle signs that are easy to overlook, but important to pay attention to, especially as we get older. Have you ever found yourself needing to urinate more often, or maybe you've noticed blood in your urine or stool? It's tempting to blame these things on something simple, like a urinary tract infection or hemorrhoids. But changes in bathroom habits, especially if they're new or persistent, can sometimes be early signs of cancers like bladder, kidney, or colon cancer. For example, if you're waking up several times a night to use the bathroom, or if you notice your urine looks darker or has a pinkish tint, don't just brush it off. The same goes for bowel habits. If you're suddenly constipated all the time, or if you have diarrhea that won't go away, it's worth mentioning to your doctor. Even if it turns out to be something minor, it's always better to know for sure. Another sign that often slips under the radar is difficulty swallowing, or feeling like food gets stuck in your throat. Maybe you started avoiding certain foods because they're hard to eat, or you find yourself coughing or choking more often at meal times. This can be a sign of esophageal or throat cancer, especially if it's a new problem for you. Sometimes, people will start eating softer foods or drinking more liquids without even realizing they're compensating for a swallowing issue. If you notice this happening, don't ignore it. Your doctor can help figure out what's going on and make sure it's nothing serious. Let's not forget about persistent pain. We all have aches and pains from time to time. Maybe your knees creak a little more than they used to, or your back gets sore after gardening. But pain that doesn't go away, or pain that's new and unexplained, deserves a closer look. For example, ongoing pain in your abdomen could be a sign of pancreatic or ovarian cancer. Bone pain that lingers might point something going on in your bones or bone marrow. If you have a pain that sticks around for weeks, especially if you can't link it to an injury or overuse, it's time to check in with your healthcare provider. Sometimes, cancer shows up in ways that are easy to dismiss as just getting older. Maybe you've noticed a persistent cough or hoarseness that won't go away. Maybe your voice sounds different, or you're clearing your throat more than usual. These symptoms can be caused by lots of things like allergies or a lingering cold, but if they last for more than a few weeks, it's important to get them checked out. Persistent cough or hoarseness can be early signs of lung, throat, or even thyroid cancer. Another subtle sign is changes in your mouth. If you wear dentures, you might be used to a little discomfort now and then. But if you notice a sore in your mouth that doesn't heal, a white or red patch on your gums or tongue, or swelling that doesn't go away, these could be early signs of oral cancer. Even if you don't have dentures, pay attention to any changes in your mouth, especially if they last more than 2 weeks. Your dentist would be a great ally here, Regular dental checkups are about more than just your teeth. Sometimes, cancer can show up as something as simple as a lump or swelling anywhere on your body. It might be in your neck, under your arm, or in your groin. These lumps are often painless, which makes them easy to ignore. But if you notice a new lump, or if an old one is getting bigger, it's important to have it checked out. Swollen lymph nodes can be a sign of infection, but they can also be an early sign of cancers like lymphoma or leukemia. It's also worth mentioning that sometimes cancer can cause symptoms that seem completely unrelated to where the cancer is growing. For example, some cancers can cause night sweats or fevers that come and go. Others might make you feel short of breath, even when you're not exerting yourself. If you find yourself waking up drenched in sweat, or if you're getting fevers for no clear reason, don't just chalk it up to menopause or a passing bug. These symptoms are worth mentioning to your doctor, especially if they're new for you. I know it can feel a little scary to think about all these possibilities, but remember, the goal here isn't to make you worry. It's to help you feel confident and in control of your health. Most of the time, these symptoms are caused by something much less serious than cancer. But if you notice something new, something that doesn't go away, or something that just feels off, trust your instincts. You know your body better than anyone else. Taking action doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as jotting down your symptoms in a notebook or setting a reminder to call your doctor if something hasn't improved in a couple of weeks. It's about being proactive, not paranoid. And remember, you're not alone. Your healthcare team is there to support you, answer your questions, and help you stay healthy. Now that we've talked about these subtle but important signs, let's keep the conversation going and explore a few more ways your body might be trying to get your attention. Sometimes, the most important thing you can do is simply listen. Sometimes, the most important signals our bodies send are the ones we're most tempted to ignore. Maybe you've noticed a bruise that seems to linger longer than usual, or you find yourself short of breath after climbing just a few steps, even though you used to handle them with ease. These little changes can be easy to brush off, but they're worth paying attention to, especially if they're new for you or just don't seem to fit with your usual patterns. Let's talk about bruising and bleeding. As we age, our skin gets thinner, and we might bruise a bit more easily. But if you're noticing bruises popping up without any clear reason, or if you're bleeding more than usual from small cuts, it's time to take note. Unexplained bruising or bleeding can sometimes be a sign of blood cancers like leukemia. Maybe you notice your gums bleed when you brush your teeth, or you get nosebleeds more often than you used to. These symptoms might seem minor, but if they're new or happen more frequently, it's a good idea to mention them to your doctor. It's always better to have a quick conversation and find out it's nothing serious than let something important slip by. Shortness of breath is another subtle sign that can sneak up on you. Maybe you've always been able to walk around a block or up a flight of stairs without any trouble, but lately you find yourself stopping to catch your breath. Sometimes this can be caused by heart or lung conditions, but it can also be an early sign of cancers like lung cancer or lymphoma. If you're finding it harder to breathe during activities that used to be easy, or if you're getting winded just sitting or lying down, don't ignore it. Your doctor can help figure out what's going on and make sure you get the right care. Another change that's easy to overlook is persistent indigestion or trouble eating. Maybe you feel full after just a few bites, or you have ongoing heartburn that doesn't seem to go away with your usual remedies. Sometimes, these symptoms are caused by something simple, like a change in diet or a bit of stress. But if they stick around for more than a couple weeks, they could be a sign of cancers in the stomach, esophagus, or even the pancreas. If you're finding it hard to enjoy meals, or if you're losing your appetite for no clear reason, it's worth bringing up at your next appointment. Let's not forget about changes in your lymph nodes. These are the small bean-shaped glands you can feel in your neck, under your arms, and in your groin. If you notice a lump or swelling in one of these areas that doesn't go away after a few weeks, it's important to get it checked. Swollen lymph nodes can be a sign of infection, but they can also be an early warning sign for cancers like lymphoma or leukemia. Even if the lump isn't painful, don't ignore it. Your doctor will know what to look for and can help you figure out the next steps. Sometimes, cancer can show up in ways that seem completely unrelated to where it's growing. For example, you might notice changes in your vision or hearing, or you might develop headaches that are different from what you experienced before. Maybe you feel unusually weak or numb in your arms or legs, or you have trouble with balance or coordination. These symptoms can be caused by lots of things, but if they're new for you and don't go away, it's important to mention them to your healthcare provider. Early detection is key, and even small changes can be important clues. It's also important to pay attention to how you feel emotionally. Sometimes, cancer can cause changes in mood or mental sharpness. Maybe you're feeling more anxious or depressed than usual, or you're having trouble remembering things or concentrating. These changes can be easy to blame on stress, aging, or even just a bad week, but if they're persistent and don't seem to have an obvious cause, it's worth talking about with your doctor. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health, and changes in mood or memory can sometimes be early signs of illness. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, and it might feel overwhelming to think about all the different ways cancer can show up. But remember, the goal isn't to make you anxious, it's to help you feel empowered. Most of the time, these symptoms are caused by something much less serious than cancer. But by paying attention to your body and speaking up when something feels off, you're giving yourself the best chance to catch any problems early when they're easiest to treat. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've talked about. Your body is always communicating with you, sometimes in whispers and sometimes in shouts. The key is to listen to those whispers before they become shouts. If you notice a new symptom that doesn't go away after a couple weeks, or if something just doesn't feel right, trust your instincts. Write it down. Keep track of when it started, and don't hesitate to bring it up with your doctor. You're not being a bother. You're being proactive about your health, and that's something to be proud of. Small changes can make a big difference. Whether it's scheduling that checkup you've been putting off, asking a loved one to help you keep an eye on new symptoms, or simply being more mindful of how you feel each day, every step you take is a step toward better health. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are people who care about you, family, friends, and healthcare professionals who want to support you and help you stay healthy and happy. If you experienced any of the symptoms we've talked about, or if you have your own story to share, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Your experience might help someone else who's going through the same thing. And if you found this video helpful, please give a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more tips and conversations about living your healthiest, happiest life after 60. Here's to listening to your body, trusting your instincts, and living your best life at any age. You've got this.